Hello beloved listeners and welcome to episode 7 of Passive Aggressive Film Reviews. I'm Nathaniel Barrett Moore.
And I'm Richard Shittlebob.
Tell us about your week, Richard, what you've been up to. We're all keen to hear more about the lovely Helen.
Well, unfortunately, Nathaniel, I am prohibited from discussing that particular subject.
Oh, you're joking.
I'm not joking.
We're also keen to hear you left us on tenterhooks last week.
Whilst I am ready and willing to discuss the topic, it is a legal issue that prevents me from doing so.
And is it the lovely Helen that's brought the legality into the mix?
Well, Helen got wind of the fact that we'd been discussing the situation on this podcast. I don't know how. We've only got 4 listeners. She's forced me to sign a gagging order, preventing me utterly from discussing our relationship on air. I'm not allowed to talk about the relationship. I'm not allowed to talk about her face, her hair, her body, or the terrible, terrible things that she forces me to do to her on a nightly basis.
Well, I have to say it's a real shame. I was really looking forward to hearing about that this week, and I'm sure that the listeners were in the same boat.
Well, as you know, I am a humble creature. I'm not one to gloat or boast. Yet on this particular issue, I was more than happy to wax lyrical because, frankly, I've never had it so good.
I bet you haven't.
I'm as happy as a pig in shit. Well,
it's ironic that for once you're actually happy in your life, Richard, and now you can't even talk about it.
It's frustrating. It is frustrating.
Can you give us a snippet? Talking code.
Let's just say that we have. I can't think of any code, Nathaniel. Don't put me on the spot. We formed a union.
Formed a union, okay, yes.
On pretty much a daily basis. Sometimes we forged that union on more than one occasion. She's put me in positions.
I bet she has.
Both literal and unliteral. That would, frankly, Nathaniel, would make even you blush.
Has she put you in positions of reverse?
She has utilised devices that I thought I would only ever see the like of on a farm.
My word, you lucky beggar.
I can say no more.
Has she been jabbing your arse for the cattle prod, Richard?
Nathaniel, you're trying to get me in trouble, and I won't be having it.
Okay, fair enough. Don't want to get into any more trouble than you normally do, so what else have you been up to?
Well, Yvonne came crawling back on Thursday night, Nathaniel. She came crawling back. As predictable as the sun rising in the morning, Rhino, the ex-gladiator, the squat, black-skinned creature, he's dumped her. He's gone and dumped her. I knew he would.
And what did you have to say to, well, I can't call her the lovely Yvonne anymore, can I?
Certainly not.
What did you
I sent her packing. I told her to sling her hook. I sent her packing.
Fair play to you.
I've got no interest in that strumpet anymore, Nathaniel.
No?
She's soiled goods. She's dead to me.
You moved on to pastures new, have you?
Younger, firmer, more fertile pastures, Nathaniel.
More white?
I beg your pardon?
More white, perhaps?
More white?
Yes.
Well, Yvonne's white. What are you talking about?
No, but surely Helen's a bit whiter than Yvonne, isn't she?
What? Whiter than Yvonne?
Indeed, yes.
What do you mean? What do you mean by that?
Well, we're all white. Well, not all of us, obviously, but the white.
Rhino's not white.
No, clearly not. That was a ridiculous thing to say. But the white-skinned race are varying shades of white. I know that's a contradiction, but
right.
I'm sure you understand the point I'm trying to make.
Well, put it this way, Nathaniel. I haven't got out the Dulux wallpaper paint colour code chart and compared them to see which one's cream and which one's just off white.
Well, that's a surprise. That's the kind of thing I'd have thought you'd have judged a woman on.
Why on earth would I do that?
Because you're a racist twat.
I judge women by the only measure that is applicable and sensible.
Which is?
I'm not going to tell you. I can't tell you on air, Nathaniel. I'll tell you off air.
You're being very coy, Richard.
I'm a little bit embarrassed today. I don't know why. I've got some kind of nervousness about me today. I don't know where it's come from. I'm not used to it. I'm normally confident, full of my own self-importance. But today I feel a little bit more humble.
As boring and as disappointed as I am, you're not actually getting some respect for people, are you?
Oh, God, good Lord, no, that's never going to happen.
No, I suppose not.
Well, I've been approached, Nathaniel, to write a monthly column for the Mail on Sunday.
Oh, yeah.
It's entitled Chavs and Scrubbers, Shittlebob Vents His Spleen. Very much looking forward to it.
I'm sure you are. Have you got any material for your new column?
Well, it's not guaranteed yet, so I haven't really started the prep work.
Right.
But the initial interview went very well, and I've been asked back in on Tuesday of this week to speak to the editor of the newspaper, Mr. Peter Wright. Do you know Peter at all?
No, I've never met him. Never had the pleasure.
I've got to tell you, Nathaniel, he's an odious little oik.
You got on with him then?
He really, really likes the sound of his own voice.
You didn't take a mirror with you, did you?
His opinions are appallingly right-wing. He makes me sick, to be honest.
You can't see the contradictions in the comments you're making at the moment, then, Richard?
Not at all.
No, I'm sure you can't, no.
Not at all. One other thing
yes,
that I'd like to mention, and I think you're going to approve of this, Nathaniel.
Oh, yes.
I've set up an online petition to get thrash metal band Slayer's albums banned.
Where is it? Send me a copy, I'll sign it now.
It's going to take a few days to come online, but when it does, just go to the DirectGov webpage,
Yeah.
their petition section, and you search for ban Slayer albums outright. Fill in your details, show your support. In fact, it might be there right now.
Well, I'm not about to do it now, Richard. Not in the middle of a broadcast, but I can guarantee you that the Barrett Moore signature will be firmly placed on that website.
I've had to put it down under a false name.
Oh, yes.
I've used the name Ian Stevens.
Oh, okay.
And I've done that simply for fear of retaliation.
Probably sensible.
So you go and search for it. While we're talking now, I'm going to search for the actual proper web address.
Okay.
So I don't know if you want to tell us something about your week, just to fill in.
Yeah.
Until I get to the interesting stuff.
Fine, well, yeah, why not?
What have you been doing?
Well, again, I've had a busy week, Richard.
Okay.
It seems I am now the port of call as far as contact from listeners goes. And I've had little time to allocate to anything else other than, once again, to reply to and deal with comments that we've had from our listeners across the world.
Good to hear, good to hear.
I have to say, Richard, this might come as something of a surprise, but it seems you're also developing a fan base as well as your usual hate base.
That's no surprise to me, Nathaniel. I don't know why you'd say such a
surprise to me. I've selected two of my favourites that seem to have captured the opposing views. Would you mind if I read them out?
No, be my guest, be my guest.
Yeah, I think you may have a point with the pseudonyms, by the way, because a Mrs. Flange has emailed in.
Right.
And said this. Richard Shittlebob is the perfect embodiment of a disgusting human being. He hates everyone who isn't white British, and yet he also hates himself. This is typical of his many contradictions. His racist and homophobic slander should not be allowed to be broadcast. The man is a total and utter disgrace. However, on the other side of the coin, Mr. Testes has emailed it and said this. It's about time the world heard about how things really are. I cannot praise Mr. Shittlebob enough for having both the balls and the clarity of vision to inform everybody of the truth. And he's well shot of that Gallic leech. 30 years with the likes of that should... I'll say that again. 30 years with the likes of that should be worthy of a medal, the filthy French tart. You know, with a beautiful blonde, purebred and fair play to you. Let's kill all the frogs. And wogs. I'm a true fan, Mr. Shittlebob. Keep up your great work.
Well, marvellous words there at the end, to be honest, Nathaniel. Marvellous words. That's put a lump to my throat. It really has. There's a tear glistening from my eye. That's great to hear.
I always appreciate some positive feedback.
Mr. Testes there.
Good spirit, Mr. Testes, yeah.
Well, let's go back to Mrs. Flange, though.
Yeah.
Where she gets the idea that I'm full of self-loathing, I've got no idea where that comes from.
Really?
Not at all.
You do make reference to it quite often, Richard. Maybe you're just not aware of that.
Give me an example.
Well, to think of an example on the spot, really putting the pressure on. I believe I raised the point maybe last week or 2 weeks ago where I think the young gay gentleman came in to complain about your many vile ramblings.
Oh, yes.
And I think he asked me about why on earth do I associate with such a vile slug. And I think you believe you said yourself that you often wondered the same.
I think that was merely a misinterpretation, because I was considering why I associate with a vile slug, the slug in question being yourself.
No, I think you're clearly a man with so little self-esteem, Richard. You think you're out of class of company when you're with me, don't you?
I've told you before, Nathaniel, my place is with the celebrities, with the successful, with the wealthy. That's where I belong. That doesn't sound to me like somebody riddled with self-loathing.
You are, you know you are. You're wearing the crap.
You listen. I've found that website.
Yes.
So, here's what we've got. Band Slayer albums outright. American thrash metal band Slayer have been responsible for some of the most depraved songs to ever have been written, and, as the recent riots in England demonstrated, our children are in desperate need of better role models. This petition seeks to encourage the government to ban this outrageous filth once and for all, to give the next generation the chance to develop in a more positive cultural environment.
Well, as I said, I'm going to make sure my signature is on that petition, Richard. I can only congratulate you for once on a positive action that you've made in your life.
E-petitions, no dub, /petitions.direct.gov.uk/petitions/17848. Go there now. Sign up for it, listeners.
Ban the thrash.
Ban the thrash. What else have you been doing, Nathaniel, besides reading emails relating to myself?
Well, yes, I'm getting that many of them. I mean, it really is taking a lot of my time, Richard. All I can say is I'm making further progress with the self-sufficiency project.
Oh, yes, yeah. What, any new animals added to the menagerie?
No animals as yet. The goat's doing his business.
Yes.
He's doing plenty of it, I have to say. The compost toilet is filling nicely. There's a bit of a strange aroma wandering around the house, but that's just one of those consequences I'll just have to live with. And the vegetables are raging, and everything's going swimmingly, Richard. It's